Hi, I'm Ryan Huddleston, musician, audio engineer, and backline technician. I'm in the studio getting ready for the next record. I'd like to explain some of my favorite tricks for keeping your gear in optimum condition, so you can take the stage or hit the studio like a pro. Let's go in the control room and check it out. Let's talk about no volume. Now there's a couple things you want to check. They seem obvious, but definitely want to start with your patching and make sure everything is plugged in properly. Your guitar is plugging into the amp, ins to ins, out to outs, etc. The next thing you want to check is that your volume's up on your guitar, your amp, if you have any pedals, check all that stuff. Once you've checked the obvious, next thing you want to do is begin your troubleshooting. Now my two favorite methods are bypass and substitution. A good example of a bypass method would be if you had a complex pedal board configuration, you could just unplug and go from your guitar straight to your amp. Now if you're working then, you know your amp and your cable and your guitar are working, you would work backwards in the chain until you identify which pedal is not working or what is in the chain that's not happening. The other method is substitution. Many people use this method. If you swap out a guitar cable, try a different guitar, it will quickly identify where your problem is. Now, if you don't have time to go through a complex pedal board setup or a long signal chain, the easiest thing to do, what I like to call, is the most likely to fail. So if you've seen something that looks like it's wearing, if you have a cable that's old, if you have an output jack that's been used a lot, start there because that's usually where your failures are going to be. Now, beyond that, let's talk about how to actually fix a problem or identify where the problem is. Once you know your cables are good, take that speaker cable, plug it into your cabinet, and then do this. By quickly tapping it, you will identify that your speaker cabinet is working or not working. If you hear that sound, that tells you that it is working. Once you've checked that, the next thing you want to check is your 9-volt batteries, either in your guitar, if you have active pickups, or in your pedals. The typical voltage you would want to see is 9.6 on a 9-volt. If it's anywhere below 8, that's usually where you start to see signal loss, and anything below 7 is usually where you'll die. You'll have no volume. Once you've checked all your batteries, the next thing you want to check is your amp. If you have another amp to substitute, that's the best way to determine that because there are lethal voltages and you don't really want to go poking around inside there. One last thing you can check is your wiring on your guitar. If you need to, take your pickguard off or pull the back plate and take a close look at what's happening. If you see a wire that's missing or loose, that's a good indication. If one of your output jacks is spinning or a potentiometer is spinning and that leg of the potentiometer touches the sidewall, it's got conductive paint, that could cause you to short out as well. Now, I'm certain if you go through all those troubleshooting methods, you will definitely find the problem with no volume.